The moment that changed everything wasn't a phone call. It wasn't a letter. It was a Tuesday afternoon when a woman rang Lauren Mercer's doorbell for the first time in 10 years and handed her a spreadsheet. Not a hug, not an apology, a spreadsheet. Her mother, Carol, stood at the front door in a pressed gray blazer, rolling a carry-on behind her, holding a folded piece of paper like it was a business proposal. She did not say she had missed her daughter. She did not ask about the grandchildren she had never held. She smoothed the paper flat on the entryway table and said, "I think it's time we talked about where this family is headed." The paper had 5 line items. Each one had a dollar sign. Total, $980,000. What Carol did not know, what she could not have known, was that Lauren had been keeping her own document. For 10 years, in a gray 3-ring binder. Bottom drawer, right side of the desk. 31 items. Every returned card, every unanswered voicemail, every screenshot of every message her sister sent about her behind her back. Carol came with a list of what she wanted. Lauren came with a list of what her mother had done. Enjoying the story so far? Hit the like button, subscribe to Hidden Karma Stories, and share this video with someone who loves a good karma story. Also, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it there right now? It's always amazing to see how far these stories travel around the world. Let me take you back to when Lauren was 23 years old. To the summer her family decided she wasn't theirs anymore. Cedar Falls, Indiana. Population maybe 4,000 on a generous day. One Lutheran church with a broken parking lot light that nobody fixed for 12 years. One pharmacy where the pharmacist knew everyone's prescription by heart. One diner on Route 9 with a pie display case that rotated the same 4 flavors on a 10-year cycle. That was home, Lauren's whole world, until she wasn't. Her father, Gerald, had driven a school bus for Hendricks County for 28 years. Same route, same schedule. Home by 4:15 every single afternoon. He wore the same brown jacket from October through April, hung it on the same hook by the back door, and asked the same question every evening without fail. Anything good happen today? Her mother, Carol, ran the house the way a campaign manager runs an election, with absolute clarity about who was winning. She organized the church rummage sale. She led the women's prayer breakfast every 3rd Saturday. She decided what went on the Christmas letter. What she said went, and nobody pushed back, because the look she gave when someone tried to push back made the floor feel like it was sinking. Her sister, Brianna, was 3 years younger and everything Lauren was not. Effortless at parties, at ease in every room, the kind of girl who got voted student council president as a sophomore and waved like she'd been practicing since birth. Mom called her their spark. Dad called her sweet pea. Lauren was the steady one. She paid attention. She kept her room clean without being asked. She got a near-perfect score on her SAT and did not get a party for it. She says this without bitterness. She says it because it explains the math. In that house, love moved like water downhill, and Brianna was always lower ground. At 18, Lauren received a full academic scholarship to Indiana University, first in the family to go. Carol packed her a duffel bag and tucked a card inside, yellow envelope, sunflower on the front, her mother's handwriting on the inside flap. "We'll be here when you get back. Don't forget where you come from." Lauren kept that card for 16 years. It sat in her desk drawer, right next to the gray binder. It was the last kind thing her mother ever wrote to her. She met Darius Coleman in the spring of her junior year. In an urban planning seminar she'd added at the last minute to fill a credit gap. He sat in the row ahead of her, always 5 minutes early, always with a fresh legal pad. He approached problems quietly, patiently, the way someone approaches a puzzle they know they'll eventually solve. He was a civil engineering major with a focus on infrastructure, the kind of work most people took for granted until a bridge failed or a pipe burst. He cared about things that worked without being noticed. His mother, Renee, had taught 3rd grade in Gary, Indiana for 31 years. His father, White, from a suburb of Cincinnati, left when Darius was 6. Renee raised him alone, stretched 2 incomes worth of determination across 1 income's worth of salary, and showed up to every parent-teacher conference, every band concert, every science fair until Darius was old enough to show up for himself. Darius was biracial. He had his mother's steadiness and his father's height, and a way of listening that made Lauren feel like what she was saying had weight to it, like it mattered. Their first date was at a food truck festival near campus. He got a brisket sandwich. She got a falafel wrap. They sat on the grass and split a lemonade and talked until the vendors started packing up. He told her he wanted to build infrastructure for communities that had been forgotten, roads and water systems and transit lines in places where the money never seemed to arrive. She told him she wanted a career where the numbers were attached to something real. He said he thought they might be thinking about the same problem from different angles. They dated for 3 years. Quiet, steady, unremarkable years. Good ones. He met her parents twice. The first time, Carol greeted him with a smile that was 2 sizes too large and called him Daniel twice before Brianna corrected her. The second time, Carol used his real name but directed most of her conversation toward the table. Gerald shook his hand both times and said the bare minimum a man can say while technically being polite. Lauren told herself it was just adjustment. Small-town people, they'd come around. Brianna was the honest one. At Easter dinner, she leaned over while the rolls were being passed and said, quietly, without any drama, "Mom is not going to make peace with this. You know that, right?" Lauren didn't know, not yet. Darius proposed on a rainy October Thursday in the living room of their apartment, sitting on the floor with their backs against the couch because the couch cushions were in the wash. No ring yet, just words. He said, "I know what I want to build. I want to build it with you. Will you let me?" She said yes before he finished the sentence. She called home that night. Carol answered on the second ring. Lauren told her. The silence that followed lasted 8 seconds. She counted. "Have you thought about what this is going to mean for this family, Lauren?" Not congratulations. Not tell me everything. A warning, dressed in the language of concern. Gerald picked up the extension a moment later, cleared his throat, and said nothing useful. 2 days later, Brianna texted, "Mom's been in her room since you called. Are you proud of yourself?" Lauren was, actually, for the first time in a long time. She didn't reply. A letter arrived 10 days after that. Not a text, not an email. A physical letter on cream-colored stationery, Carol's looping handwriting, black ink, 4 paragraphs. The last paragraph read, "If you go through with this, you are choosing him over us. We will not be there. We will not support it. And if you walk down that aisle, don't expect to walk back through this door. He is not one of ours, Lauren. He never will be." She drew the line in black ink on cream paper and expected Lauren to stand on her side of it. Lauren read it 3 times. Then she folded it, put it in a manila envelope, and put the envelope in her desk drawer. Some instinct, the same one that made her back up her files twice and save every receipt, told her to keep it. She kept it. They got married at the Marion County Courthouse on a Saturday in April. 14 guests, all friends, all from Darius's world. His mother, Renee, flew in from Gary with a garment bag and a tin of homemade snickerdoodles she'd stayed up until midnight baking. She pressed Lauren's hands between both of hers in the courthouse hallway and said, "Your family now, sweetheart. Don't ever forget that." No father walked Lauren down an aisle. There was no aisle. There was a linoleum hallway and a judge who kept losing his place in the ceremony script, and a reception at a Thai Mexican fusion, placed 3 blocks away where everyone pushed 2 tables together, and Darius's college roommate gave a toast that ended with a joke so absurd that Renee laughed so hard she knocked over her water glass. Lauren's dress was from a resale boutique downtown. Ivory, knee-length, fitted in all the right places. $95. Darius wore a charcoal suit he'd bought on sale at the end of last season. They looked, Lauren said later, like exactly what they were. 2 people who had just done the most important thing of their lives without anybody else's permission. That night, sitting on the edge of their bed, looking at the bouquet of grocery store tulips she'd bought herself that morning, her hands shook. Not from doubt, from grief. She had just gotten married, and the 2 people who raised her had decided they didn't need to know about it. A week later, she mailed a card to Cedar Falls. Inside, their courthouse photo, both of them squinting into the April sun, grinning. On the back, she wrote, "We're happy. I hope someday you can be happy for us." 11 days later, the card came back. Red stamp, returned to sender. She stared at it for a long time. Then she opened her desk drawer, found the manila envelope with Carol's letter, tucked the card inside, and wrote on the outside in red ink, "Item 2, wedding photo returned." That was how the binder started. Year 1 was the hardest. Lauren called her mother 4 times. Voicemail every time. She left messages the way you write a resignation letter, careful, measured, every word chosen because you know it might be the last one. "Hi, Mom, just checking in. Darius started at an engineering firm downtown. I'm studying for my CPA. I miss you. Call when you're ready." She never called back. Lauren sent birthday cards for her mom, her dad Christmas cards for both. Every single one came back with the same red stamp. Gerald sent one text, in February, 4 words, "Your mother needs space." 4 words, no follow-up, no second text, just 4 words sitting in her phone like a splinter she couldn't reach. Brianna posted a family dinner photo on Instagram that spring. Carol, Gerald, Brianna's boyfriend at the time, smiling around a table that Lauren had eaten at for 18 years. Caption, "Sunday dinners are everything." Lauren was not in the photo. She hadn't been invited. She printed the screenshot. She didn't know exactly why. The same way she didn't know why she kept the returned cards, why she wrote the dates in red ink, why she transferred everything from the manila envelope into a proper binder, gray, 3-ring, tabbed by year. She was a financial analyst. Financial analysts didn't throw away documentation. She labeled the first tab, Year 1. She was not building a case. She told herself that for a long time. By year 2, Darius had quit his job. Not impulsively, he had a plan. For 8 months, he'd been designing a software platform in evenings and on weekends, something that would help mid-sized cities manage infrastructure maintenance schedules, road repairs, utility upgrades, permit tracking. The kind of administrative chaos that made public works departments run 2 years behind on everything. He converted their second bedroom into an office. 2 monitors, a fan that needed replacing, a whiteboard from a garage sale for $8. Lauren came home from work each evening, heated up whatever they had in the fridge, and sat beside him reviewing projections until 11 at night. She built the pricing model. She built the operational framework. She stayed up late testing modules against actual municipal data she'd pulled from public records. CitySync launched with 3 pilot cities and a demo that kept crashing on the second screen. That same year, Lena and Marcus were born, twins. A Thursday morning in February, during a sleet storm that shut down 2 highway lanes. 5 pounds, 12 ounces each. Lena announced herself to the world at volume. Marcus went quiet and seemed deeply interested in the ceiling tiles. Darius cried. Lauren had never seen him cry before. He held one baby in each arm, stood at the hospital window watching the sleet hit the glass, and said, "They are never going to question whether they're loved. Not for one day." Renee flew in from Gary the next morning. She stayed 3 weeks. She cooked. She cleaned. She rocked Marcus through his 2 a.m. fussing while Lauren fed Lena. She brought a quilt she'd made herself, soft green and white squares, and 2 silver charm bracelets engraved with the Bobby's birthday and weight. That was what a grandmother looked like. Lauren had sent Carol the ultrasound photos 5 months earlier. Returned. She'd sent birth announcements, 2 cards, 1 per baby with footprint stamps and everything. Returned. She sent photos, Marcus asleep on Darius's chest. Lena gripping Lauren's finger in her whole fist. Returned. 3 items, added to the binder. Items 14, 15, 16. Brianna texted someone they'd both gone to high school with. The mutual friend took a screenshot and sent it to Lauren without comment. Brianna's text read, her kids basically don't have any grandparents on her side. That's what she picked. Lauren sat in the nursery with that text on her phone for 13 minutes. Lena was asleep. Marcus was in her arms. From the kitchen, she could hear Renee humming something slow and familiar while she washed bottles. Her children had a grandmother. Her name was Renee Coleman. She drove 4 hours each way from Gary without being asked, and she had never once missed a birthday. Lauren printed the screenshot. Item 17, red ink, dated. Year 4, 19 items in the binder. Most of the time, Lauren forgot it existed. It sat buried under old insurance files and tax folders, accumulating quiet weight. But every time something arrived, a returned card, a forwarded screenshot, another piece of evidence that Carol had decided her daughter was a closed account, she filed it. Same routine every time. Print, label, date, red ink, correct tab. Darius asked her about it once, just once. Why do you keep all of that? She told him the truth. Because one day the kids might ask why they don't have grandparents on my side, and I want to be able to show them facts. Not my version, not Carol's version, the actual receipts. He nodded. He kept build logs for every version of his software. He understood the logic of receipts. City Sync had 14 employees by then. An actual office with a conference room. Marcus and Lena started preschool and argued each morning over who got to wear the backpack with the dinosaur patch, which they were supposed to share. The silence from Cedar Falls had become background noise. Some days Lauren registered it. Most days she didn't. Renee visited every 5 or 6 weeks. The twins called her Grammy Renee. She taught Marcus how to scramble eggs. She taught Lena the names of every bird she could identify from the kitchen window. She showed up, every time. Lauren didn't know it yet, but the binder would end up being the most important document she'd ever kept. More important than her CPA certificate. More important than their mortgage papers. More important than the IPO filing she'd sign, years later, in a room with a view of the Nashville skyline. Year 6, Brianna's wedding. Lauren found out from an Instagram post, a friend of a friend, tagged in a group photo 8 days after it happened. The church, the same Lutheran church where Lauren had been confirmed at 15, was full. 200 guests, Brianna in a cathedral veil, Carol in a pale yellow dress, Gerald in a suit Lauren didn't recognize. The reception had a live band, a 4-tier cake, a sparkler exit that looked like a film scene. They didn't tell her, they didn't invite her, she wasn't there. Lauren ordered a set of custom dish towels from a small maker in Portland, white linen, monogrammed with Brianna's new initials. She wrote a card, "Congratulations on your wedding, wishing you both so much joy." Signed it, sent it, expected nothing. It came back 4 weeks later, unopened. The tape across the flap was factory fresh. Item 20, wedding gift, Brianna, returned unopened. Red ink. She put the binder in the drawer, sat at her desk, and listened to Marcus and Lena in the other room, one of them laughing, the other one narrating something elaborate involving a dragon. That was her family, right there in the next room. That was enough. Year 7 changed the math. City Sync closed a Series B, $14 million from a venture firm in Austin. Post-money valuation, $74 million. Darius and Lauren held 20%. They weren't wealthy yet, but the numbers were moving in a direction Lauren had only ever modeled in theoretical spreadsheets. She left her firm that fall and joined City Sync full-time as CFO. Her name went on the company filings next to his. Partners in everything, officially now. They moved to a 4-bedroom Craftsman in Green Hills, just south of Nashville. Good schools. A yard with a fig tree the twins immediately claimed as their base of operations. A kitchen with a long island, where Lena did homework on one end, while Lauren reviewed quarterly projections on the other. The Series B got a paragraph in TechCrunch, a couple of newsletter mentions, nothing dramatic, the kind of coverage that circulates inside the industry and disappears everywhere else. But someone in Cedar Falls, Indiana saw it. A friend from high school texted Lauren 2 weeks after the article. Random, but your mom asked me about your husband's company at the church potluck last week. Wanted to know what venture funding meant. Thought you should know. Lauren read it 3 times. Carol hadn't said Lauren's name in 7 years. She didn't know what Series B meant, but she wanted to. The math was changing, and Carol Hargrove was paying attention. That same year, Lauren sent what she already suspected would be her last birthday card. She'd sent one every year. 7 straight years, 7 red stamps. This time, she slipped something extra inside, a photo of Lena and Marcus at their school fall carnival. Both in flannel shirts, both with painted faces. Marcus missing his 2 front teeth. Lena grinning so big her eyes were nearly shut. On the back, Lauren wrote, "They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you moved away." She mailed it, expected the usual. It came back in 9 days, but something was wrong. The envelope had been opened. The flap had been carefully resealed with a strip of clear tape, precise, deliberate, the work of someone who didn't want anyone to know they'd looked. Lauren held it up to the light. The card was inside. The photo was inside. But someone had taken them out, held them, looked at them, and then put everything back. She sat at the kitchen table for a long time. Dad, she thought. Dad opened it. Mom made him send it back. Item 24. Birthday card, year 7. Opened and resealed. Photo viewed, still returned. She wrote the label without her hand shaking, because she had suspected for years that her father wasn't the one who designed the silence. He'd enforced it. Her mother was the architect. The blueprint was simple. If she couldn't control who Lauren loved, she would erase Lauren from the story entirely. Year 8, 50 employees, offices in Nashville and Charlotte, a partnership deal with 2 state transportation departments. Darius was on the cover of a regional business magazine. Small circulation, mid-size feature, but his face was on a glossy cover with a headline that called him a builder's builder. Strange things started happening online. Someone from Cedar Falls, Indiana, had been viewing Lauren's LinkedIn profile 3 times in 1 week through a private browser. Location still visible. Then Forbes put City Sync at number 43 on their annual list of infrastructure companies to watch. 2 sentences, a hyperlink, not exactly front-page news. But a week later, Lauren's friend from high school, Cassie, the one who kept her loosely tethered to Cedar Falls gossip, texted, "Your mom told someone at church that she always believed Darius had it in him." Direct quote. She sounded proud. Always believed in him. 8 years of silence, 7 returned birthday cards, 1 letter telling Lauren not to come back, and now she always believed in him. Lauren didn't add that to the binder. Hearsay didn't belong in the tabs, but she wrote it on a sticky note and pressed it to the inside of the front cover because she wanted to remember the exact moment Carol Hargrove started rewriting history. She wasn't proud of Darius. She wasn't sorry. She was recalculating. The group chat happened in September. Cassie called on a Monday evening, sounding unsettled. "Lauren, Brianna accidentally added me to a family group chat last week. I think she meant to add someone with a similar number to mine. I was in it for 4 days before anyone noticed and removed me." A pause. I took screenshots. She sent 8 of them. Lauren read them in the parking lot of Marcus's soccer practice. "Brianna, his company was valued at 80-something million last round. I've been following the filings. If they go public, we're looking at 300 million minimum, maybe more. Carol, how do we even approach this? She won't listen to me. Gerald, maybe I should call her first, just to reconnect. Carol, no, I need to go there in person, with a plan, something concrete. Brianna, make it organized. Be specific about what we need. She responds to numbers. Make it look like a family conversation, not an ask. Carol, how much do we start with? Brianna, lead with Dad's retirement, then medical, then the house. Layer in Tommy's college fund. Frame it as family investment, not a request. Gerald, I don't feel right about this. Carol, Gerald. She has more money than anyone in this town combined. She can afford to take care of her family. Gerald didn't respond after that. Lauren sat in the parking lot with her phone in her lap. The dashboard clock said 7:08. Through the windshield, she could see Marcus sprinting across the grass after a ball twice the size of his head. Her hands weren't shaking from hurt. They were shaking from clarity. 10 years of silence. 10 years of red stamps and returned photos and a letter that said, "Don't come back." And now that the numbers had turned, they had a plan. A layered, organized, rehearsed plan. She drove home, printed the screenshots, opened the binder. Item 27, family group chat, financial reconnaissance. Date, red ink. That night, after Lena and Marcus were asleep, Lauren showed Darius the screenshots. He read them the way he reads technical documentation, slowly, carefully, looking for the logic. When he finished, he put the phone on the counter and looked at the wall for a long moment. "What do you want to do?" "Nothing yet, but I want to be ready." He nodded. He didn't tell her what to feel. He didn't suggest a course of action. He asked what she needed, and then he stood beside her while she figured it out. That was Darius. The next morning, Lauren called a family attorney. Not to file anything, just to understand the landscape. The attorney, a woman named Sandra, mid-50s, direct, the kind of person who answered questions without drama, walked her through the picture in 20 minutes. No, Carol had no legal claim to their assets. No grandparent visitation rights in Tennessee without a documented existing relationship. And 10 years of recorded estrangement made any legal challenge essentially fictional. Lauren thanked her, hung up, went to work. But that week she also drafted a letter. She didn't send it, she just wrote it long at the kitchen table after midnight. Every item in the binder. Every date, every card, every screenshot, every piece of documentation. All of it laid out the way she laid out a forensic audit. She didn't send it, she put it back in the drawer. She didn't need a letter, she had the binder. Year 10, January, the IPO conversation started. Investment bankers flew into Nashville. 3 rounds of meetings in their conference room, the one with the window that stuck in the summer, and a whiteboard that dated back to the original office. The bankers talked about road shows and pricing windows and lockup periods. Darius walked them through the product. Lauren walked them through 10 years of financial data, every projection, every risk disclosure, every growth model. 7 months of due diligence, legal review, investor presentations. Darius barely slept. Lauren barely ate. Lena drew a picture of her at the kitchen island, surrounded by papers with a speech bubble that said *5 more minutes. In September, Lauren and their attorney finalized the trust structures for Marcus and Lena. 2 irrevocable trusts. Funded. Protected. Nobody, not Carol, not Gerald, not Brianna, could reach $1 of it. Ever. Lauren signed the documents on a Tuesday afternoon, looked out the window at the parking lot below, and asked one question. If someone from outside the family tries to make a claim on these funds, what happens? The attorney said, "Nothing, that's the whole point." Lauren went home, helped Marcus with his reading assignment, locked the trust documents in the fireproof safe under the bed. Then she noticed something. No one from Cedar Falls had viewed her LinkedIn in 3 weeks. No texts from Cassie about church gossip. No digital footprints at all. The quiet kind of quiet, the planned kind. 8 weeks before the IPO, Brianna texted. First time in 10 years. The message came on a Wednesday afternoon. "Hey, stranger, been thinking about you lately. How are the kids doing?" 6 words and a question mark, after 10 years, as if they'd just been out of touch for a few busy months. As if this were a continuation of something rather than a resurrection. Lauren didn't reply for 6 days. She wanted to see whether Brianna would follow up. She did. "I'm going to be in Nashville for a conference next month. Would love to grab coffee. No pressure." Darius said, "Your call." Lauren agreed to meet. Not at home. At a coffee shop in Midtown, public, neutral, contained. She got there first, got her tea, sat where she could see the door. Brianna arrived 12 minutes late in a camel blazer and ankle boots, carrying the kind of tote bag that announced itself. She hugged Lauren at the entrance, too long, both times. For the first hour she was effortful. "You look incredible." "Seriously, Lauren, you look so good." Then, gradually, the questions started. What neighborhood do you live in? What school do the kids go to? Is Darius still running things day to day, or does he have people now? How many employees? Do you still go to that same firm for your personal accounting? 34 questions, Lauren counted. Not one of them was "I'm sorry." And then Lauren caught something in the reflection of the window behind Brianna, a glint of glass. Brianna had her phone angled toward the parking lot. She was photographing Lauren's car. A gray SUV, late model, Darius's name on the registration. Scouting, reporting back. Lauren let her finish. Answered everything vaguely, pleasantly, the way you answer the checkout person asking how your weekend was. When they hugged goodbye, Brianna held on too long again and said they needed to do this more often. Lauren drove straight home and opened the binder. Item 29. Brianna reconnaissance visit. Date. 34 questions documented, vehicle photographed, no apology, no acknowledgement of estrangement. She called Sandra, the attorney. They're coming. My mother, probably before the IPO. Sandra asked, what kind of demands? Lauren read her the group chat screenshots, told her about the layered asks, the family investment framing. Sandra was quiet for a moment. You have documentation. I have a binder, 30 items, 10 years, everything dated and sourced. Another pause. Lauren, you don't need me for this. The legal structure is solid. The trusts are ironclad. What you're describing isn't a legal confrontation, it's a personal one. For that, you just need to decide what you're willing to say. She was right. City Sync went public on a Thursday in November. Darius and Lauren stood on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, him in a dark gray suit, her in a navy blazer, and watched the ticker open at $17 a share. By 2 in the afternoon, it was at 21. By close, 24. Market cap, $480 million. Their stake, just under 11%. Net worth on paper, something over $50 million. Lauren stared at the number on her phone and thought, check the formula, too many zeros. But the formula was right. That was literally her job. TechCrunch ran a feature. Bloomberg put Darius in a sidebar. A Nashville local news station did a segment, Two Founders, Equal Billing. They celebrated with room service in their hotel room overlooking Central Park. Lena and Marcus were home in Nashville with Renee, who had flown in for the week. Darius fell asleep at 9:30 with his tie still on. Lauren stayed up. She checked her phone. 8 missed calls. Area code 765 Cedar Falls. 3 unknowns, 2 from Gerald, 1 from Carol she didn't call back. She set the phone face down on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling. 10 years, $50 million, and suddenly Lauren Mercer was worth knowing again. Gerald's voicemail arrived the next morning while she was getting ready. His voice was thinner than she remembered, older, the same careful deliberateness underneath, but something frayed at the edges now. Lauren, I saw you, on the news last night, you and Darius on the floor of the stock exchange. I sat and watched the whole segment twice. A pause, I don't know exactly what to say. I've been trying to figure that out for a while now. I'm proud of you, I always have been. His voice cracked. Your mom wants to talk. She has some things she'd like to discuss. I hope you'll call her back. I love you, Lauren. She played it 4 times. Baby girl. He hadn't called her that in 15 years. I'm proud of you. I always have been. But she listened to the structure of it. He was calling after the IPO, not after the wedding, not when the twins were born, not after any of the birthday cards, the ultrasound photos, the birth announcements, after the stock exchange segment. He'd been proud of her on paper for a long time. What he'd never been was brave enough to dial her number when there was no financial news to accompany the call. Lauren saved the voicemail. She didn't add it to the binder. It was too heavy for the binder. She sat on the hotel bathroom floor for a few minutes and let herself feel the full weight of it, the grief of it, the complicated love of it, and then she got up and finished packing. Carol's message came 2 days after they got home. A text. Long, no typos, no casual shorthand, a draft, obviously, something written and rewritten. Lauren, I know there's a lot of distance between us and that a lot of time has passed. I think about you and the children often. I've been thinking that life is short and that families should be there for each other. I believe we could find a way forward if we were both willing to try. There are things families share, responsibilities and futures. I hope you'll be open to talking about what that could look like for us. 68 words. Not one of them was I was wrong. Not one of them was asterisk I'm sorry. Not one of them acknowledged the letters, the returned cards, the 10 years. She wrote asterisk a lot of distance between us, as if the distance had been whether neutral, nobody's fault, just something that happened. Lauren screenshotted the text, printed it, opened the binder. Item 30, first message from Carol in 10 years, 68 words, 0 apology, red ink. Cassie called on a Friday. Brianna is telling people at the salon that you live in a mansion, Lauren. Her word. She's saying Darius hit it huge, and you drive a Tesla and the kids go to private school. Lauren leaned against the kitchen counter. Half of that isn't true. It's not a mansion and both kids go to public school. Iris, that's not the point. Your mom is coming. Brianna told the whole salon group. Carol is packing. She's flying to Nashville. I know. What are you going to do? I'm going to open the door. A beat. You're going to let her in. I'm going to let her say what she came to say. And then I'm going to show her what I've been keeping for 10 years. She hung up and stood in her kitchen. The kitchen with the long island. With Lena's science fair ribbon stuck to the fridge next to a drawing Marcus made of their whole family, all 4 of them, plus a dog they didn't own yet but had been negotiating about. Renee's photo was up there too. Grammy Renee at the beach, Marcus and Lena on her lap, all 3 of them lit up from laughing. Carol was coming because the numbers changed. Lauren knew that, had known it since the group chat. Since the Series B, since the LinkedIn views and the church gossip and Brianna's 34 questions in a coffee shop. But Lauren was not the same 23-year-old who left Cedar Falls with a scholarship and her mother's note that said we'll be here when you get back. She was a CFO, a mother, a woman with a binder 30 items deep. And she was ready. Carol arrived on a Tuesday at 10 in the morning. She looked older, more gray at her temples, lines around her mouth that hadn't been there when Lauren last saw her. She stood on the porch in a pressed blazer, rolling a carry-on, holding a folded piece of paper in her right hand. Her eyes, the same shade of green as Lauren's, were already damp. Lauren. Mom. 4 seconds of silence. I came to talk about the children's future. Not I missed you. Not I was wrong. Not even I love you. She had rehearsed an opening and she had chosen that one. Lauren looked at the suitcase, looked at the folded paper. Come in. She didn't take her to the living room. She took her to the kitchen. Good light. A table with 4 chairs. And the fridge with Renee's photo on it, Grammy Renee holding both twins on her lap at the lake, all 3 of them laughing. Carol's eyes found that photo within 30 seconds. Lauren poured 2 glasses of water. No coffee. Coffee was for people who were staying. Carol unfolded the paper, sat down, smoothed it flat on the table, her handwriting, blue ink, 5 line items, each one deliberate, the product of what must have been hours of planning. She read them aloud. Retirement support for your father and me, $500,000. Lauren said nothing. College fund for Thomas, Brianna's son, $200,000. Nothing. Your father's medical expenses. He needs a hip replacement, $60,000. Nothing. The mortgage on the house in Cedar Falls, $140,000. Nothing. Monthly support, $2,500 a month going forward. She folded the paper and placed it on the table between them, looked at Lauren. This is what families do. Your father worked 30 years for that house. We gave you everything we had. It's only right that you give back when you can. Lauren looked at the list for a long moment. $960,000, itemized, organized, presented like a billing statement. She had given up her daughter for 10 years, had returned photos of grandchildren she never held, had sent back birthday cards unopened and refused to come to a wedding, and told her firstborn child that the man she loved was not one of them. And now she had come with an invoice. Lauren stood up, walked to her office, opened the bottom drawer. Under the tax files, behind the old insurance folders, right where it had always been. The gray binder, 3-ring, tabbed by year, 30 items. 10 years of quiet, documented truth. She carried it to the kitchen and set it on the table beside the list of demands. 2 documents. Hers, 1 page, 5 lines, $960,000. Lauren's, 30 items, 10 years, 0 apologies received. What is that? You brought a list, Mom. Lauren sat down, placed her hands flat on the table. I brought one too. Carol stared at the binder, at the red ink labels visible through the clear cover, at the thickness of it, 3 solid inches of tabs and printed pages and envelopes with red stamps. I don't understand. You will. Lauren opened to tab 1, year 1, and she began reading. She did not raise her voice. She did not perform. She read the way she read financial statements to a board, factual, organized, item by item. Item 1, birthday card, mailed September 15, 2015, returned September 27th, still sealed. She placed the envelope on the table, red stamp visible. Item 2, wedding photo, mailed April 20th, 2015, returned May 2nd. She laid it beside the first. Item 3, Christmas card, mailed December 10th, 2015, returned December 22nd. One by one, across the table, white envelopes with red stamps. Each one a door Lauren had tried to open. Each one Carol had shut. Carol's mouth opened, then closed. She stared at the row of envelopes growing in front of her. These are the cards I sent you every year for 10 years. Every single one came back. Iris, I'm not finished. She moved to tab 2. The voicemail transcripts, the unanswered call logs, the Instagram screenshot. One by one, everything dated, everything sourced, everything real. Item 5, voicemail left January 9th, 2016. Duration, 52 seconds, no response. Item 6, text from Dad. February 4th, 2016. 4 words, your mother needs space. She set the printout down. 10 years, Mom, how much space did you need? Carol's eyes went wet. She pressed her fingers to her lips. The theatrical cry, the one Lauren had known since childhood, the controlled kind, the kind that asked for sympathy without surrendering any ground. She'd heard it her whole life. I was hurt, Lauren. You chose him over us. You walked away. I didn't walk away. You told me not to come back. I was upset. People say things. Lauren turned to tab 4, year 4, pulled out a single printout. Item 17, text from Brianna to a mutual acquaintance, forwarded March 14th, 2019. She read it aloud, slowly. Her kids basically don't have any grandparents on her side. That's what she picked. Carol flinched. Brianna didn't. That's Brianna's exact text, word for word. She turned to the last tab. 8 screenshots, 3 pages. Item 27, family group chat, screenshots provided by a mutual contact who was accidentally added. September 6th, 2024. She read Brianna's line, make it organized, be specific about what we need. She responds to numbers, frame it as family investment. Then Carol's line, she has more money than anyone in this town. She can take care of her family. Carol's face changed. The performance dried up. Something harder surfaced beneath it, not guilt. Anger. The same expression she'd worn when she'd been caught at something and refused to be the one to acknowledge it. You had no right to read that. Lauren held her gaze. You had no right to return my children's photos. The kitchen went silent. Lauren reached for one specific envelope. Tab 5, year 7. This one was different from the others, same white paper, same red stamp, but the flap was creased, cut open and resealed with a thin strip of clear tape, precise and careful. She held it up. Item 24, birthday card, year 7. Inside was a photo of Lena and Marcus at their school fall carnival. On the back I wrote, they ask about you sometimes. I tell them you moved away. She set the envelope on the table. This card was opened. Someone looked at their faces. Then they sealed it back and sent it home. Carol's jaw tightened. Who told you? Who opened it, Mom? Silence. Dad opened it. He wanted to keep it. You made him send it back. Carol's hands were flat on the table now. Her eyes dropped to the envelope, to the tape. When she finally spoke, it was barely audible. I was afraid. A pause. If I let him keep it, if I let any of it in, I would have had to admit I was wrong. That I spent 10 years this way for nothing. That I kept my grandchildren at arm's length because I was too. She stopped, swallowed. For 1 or 2 seconds, Lauren saw something real cross her mother's face. Not theater, not manipulation, actual fear. The kind that lives under pride so long it forgets what it originally was protecting. Then it was gone. Carol straightened, her chin lifted. But you left us, Lauren. You made your choice first. And just like that, the moment of honesty was gone, like steam off a cup of coffee, real for a second, then nothing. Lauren placed Carol's list of demands on the left side of the table. She placed the binder on the right, 2 documents side by side. Your list, $960,000, 5 bullet points, no apology. She tapped the binder. My list, 30 items, 10 years of silence, 10 years of returned birthday cards, 10 years of a daughter you erased because she married a man you refused to accept. I did not erase. You told the church I abandoned you. You had Brianna tell our mutual friends that my children had no real grandparents. You tracked Darius's company for months, strategized with Brianna about how to approach me, and then showed up at my door with an itemized invoice. Lauren closed the binder. The rings clicked shut. You didn't come here because you missed me, Mom. You came because the numbers changed. Carol stood up. The chair scraped against the tile. After everything we sacrificed for you growing up, the clothes, the school supplies, the roof over your head, this is how you repay us. You raised me. That's not a debt. That's what parents do. We gave you everything. You gave me a card that said, "We'll be here when you get back." And then you told me not to come back. Carol had nothing to say to that. Lauren watched her scanning, cycling through every familiar lever she'd ever used: guilt, sacrifice, loyalty, love, and finding that none of them fit the shape of this moment. You said he wasn't one of ours, but for 10 years, his mother was the only grandmother my children ever had. The words sat in the kitchen between them like smoke. The garage door rumbled. Darius came in through the laundry room, laptop bag over one shoulder, keys in his hand. He saw Carol. He saw the binder on the table. He saw Lauren. He didn't speak. He set his bag on the counter, crossed the kitchen, put his hand on Lauren's shoulder, and sat down beside her. That was it. No speech, no confrontation, just a man sitting next to his wife because she needed him there. Carol looked at him. The man she had told her daughter was not one of theirs, now sitting in a kitchen in a house she had never visited, wearing a flannel shirt and worn-in boots, with a laptop bag that cost less than her blazer. There was nothing performative about him, nothing that announced $50 million. He was just a person, a father, a partner, a good man with his hand on his wife's shoulder, saying everything without a word. Carol looked at his hand, at Lauren's shoulder, at the space between them that held no tension, no performance, no need. She understood. Lauren hadn't needed the Hargrove family. She had built her own. Lauren spoke quietly. The way you deliver a final number on a balance sheet, complete, no revision pending. I'm not going to give you money, Mom. Carol opened her mouth. Lauren continued. Not because we can't, because the moment I write you a check, you'll tell yourself you were right to stay away until it was worth coming back. You'll tell Brianna it was just a rough patch. You'll tell the church it all worked out the way family does. She picked up Carol's list and held it across the table. 10 years of returned cards was not a rough patch. It was a choice. Every single item in this binder was a choice you made. Carol didn't take the list. If you want to know your grandchildren, not as a line item in a financial plan, but actually know them, that starts with a real apology. Not to me, to them. And it doesn't start today. It starts when you're ready to mean it. Carol took the list, picked up her carry-on, walked to the front door. She stopped, turned around, opened her mouth. Closed it. Walked out. The door clicked shut behind her. Not a slam, a click. The sound of someone who understood in that moment that she had lost something she could not buy back. 2 weeks passed. Lauren and Darius didn't talk about Carol much, not because they were avoiding it, but because there wasn't much left to say. She had come with a list. Lauren had shown her the binder. She had left without apologizing. The accounting was settled. Lena and Marcus didn't know she'd been there. They were at school both times, arrival and departure. Lauren wanted it that way. They'd learn about Carol Hargrove when they were old enough to understand that some people only see you when the light is favorable. Gerald called on a Thursday morning. Not a weekend call, a regular morning, 9:47, while Lauren was reviewing a vendor contract. "Lauren, your mom told me what happened." A pause. "I should have called you the day the twins were born. I should have driven to Nashville and knocked on your door and met my grandchildren. I should have done 100 things I didn't do." "I'm sorry, Lauren. Not because of the money. I don't want your money. I want to know Marcus and Lena. I want to know you. Will you let me try?" She was quiet for a long time. 17 seconds. She counted. "I believe you, Dad, but believing you and trusting you are two different things. We start slow. Phone calls every couple of weeks. No visits yet, just talking." He agreed. "That's more than I deserve." "It's exactly what you deserve. Not more, not less." They hung up. She went back to her contract. Brianna texted once. One line, "You could have just helped." Lauren didn't reply. Some messages are their own answer. Carol didn't call, didn't text, didn't write. The silence returned, but this time it was hers to carry. Lauren had said everything she needed to say. The next move belonged to Carol. The gray binder sat in the bottom drawer. 30 items, 10 years. Lauren didn't open it to add a 31st. She hoped she never would. Here is what 10 years of silence taught her. Family is not the people who share your last name. Family is not the people who rediscover you when your net worth goes public. Family is the people who show up when your world is small, and your apartment is drafty, and your bobbies need someone to hold them at 2 in the morning. The people who drive 4 hours without being asked. Who teach your son to scramble eggs, and your daughter the names of every bird outside the window. Who crochet blankets and engrave silver bracelets with the exact time of birth. That's family, and it was never about money. It was always about showing up. If someone came back into your life only after the numbers changed, I want to hear from you. Drop your story in the comments. And if this reminded you that your value was never a dollar figure, please share it with someone who needs to hear that today.